Hello, everyone. Luba Gentry is here with you, and we are going over lesson 3 out of my series Express Citizenship with Luba that helps you to prepare for your citizenship interview. And it is for people who want to become U.S. citizens. Your interview will have two parts, civics test and English test. And during the civics test, you will be tested on your knowledge of US history and government. For this lesson, I would like you to get familiar with history of 1900s and the civil rights movement. And to do that, I recommend you to read some units from the booklet, which is called the Citizenship Test. And I provide a link for you where you can find the booklet and download it. So I would like you to read units 6, 7, and 8 with the pages indicated here. And reading is totally optional, so you may read it or you may not. It's up to you. But you do have to study 100 questions. And the list of 100 questions you can find by clicking on the link I provided here. Questions that cover this material are from number 78 to number 86. During the interview, you will be asked 10 questions, and to pass that portion of the interview, which is the civics test, you need to answer 6 questions correctly. I will show you all of these questions. Each one of them may have several answers, and they are all correct. I highlighted the answer that I would like you to memorize in yellow. If you think that you want to memorize or remember any other answer, please feel free. Question number 78, name one war fought by the United States in the 1900s. One of them is World War I. Question number 79, who was president during World War I? Please remember this name, Wilson. Number 80, who was president during the Great Depression and World War II? The answer is Roosevelt. I want you to realize or to remember that what you see in brackets, you do not have to remember. Number 81, who did the United States fight in World War II? Please remember the names of all 3 countries, Japan, Germany, and Italy. Question 82, before he was president, Eisenhower was a general. What war was he in? And the answer is World War II. Number 83, during the Cold War, what was the main concern of the United States? Communism. Question number 84, what movement tried to end racial discrimination? You can just memorize civil rights. What you see in brackets, you do not need to memorize. Question 85, what did Martin Luther King Jr. do? fought for civil rights. I think that's the answer that is easier for you to remember. Question 86. What major event happened on September 11th, 2001 in the United States? Please memorize the whole sentence. Terrorists attacked the United States. After you pass the civics test, they will switch to the English test. And during the English test, they will test your ability to read, write, and speak English. For reading and writing, I offer you sample reading and writing sentences. And for this lesson, we are going over items 14 through 20. The sentences for reading are on the left of the screen. The sentences for writing are on the right part of the screen. I believe that the sentences for reading are questions and sentences for writing are answers to those questions, but it can be different. For reading, you just have to practice reading at home. For writing, you will need to practice writing these sentences as many times as it takes to not make any mistakes. You will have 3 attempts for reading during your interview, which means the maximum amount of sentences they can give you for reading is 3. And the same number is for writing. So you will have 3 attempts to write sentences during the interview. But if you write it correctly at first attempt, you will not have the second or third one. Okay, but the total number for reading is 3, and the total number for writing is 3. I will read them in pairs. The sentence for reading will be followed by the sentence for writing. Number 14. When is the Flag Day? Please capitalize both words in Flag Day. It's the name of a holiday. Number 14 for writing. Flag Day is in June. Capitalize June as well because it's a name of a month. You will be reading sentences on the screen and you will be writing them also on the screen using a special pen which is called stylist. Number 15 for reading, who was the second president? Number 15 for writing, Adams was the second president. Capitalize the word president because this is something related to government, and I would suggest any words related to government should be capitalized. Number 16 for reading, where does the Congress meet? Again, Congress should be capitalized. Number 16 for writing, the Congress meets in Washington, D.C. So the name of the capital of the United States should be capitalized. Washington should be capitalized. Then you put comma after Washington. D capitalized, then period. C capitalized and period. Number 17 for reading, who do we want to be? Number 17 for writing, we want to be citizens. Number 18 for reading, what was the first state? Number 18 for writing, Delaware was the first state. I think that the officer will dictate the sentence for writing twice for you, so please pay attention. Number 19 for reading, what is freedom of speech? Number 19 for writing, freedom of speech is a right. Number 20 for reading, where does the president live? Don't forget to capitalize president. Number 20 for writing, the president lives in the White House. So because we're talking about the official residency of the President of the United States, both words, White and House, should be capitalized. Then the officer will ask you a lot of questions on your N400 form, which is the main form you use to apply for US citizenship. And during this lesson, we are going over part number 11 and part number 12, items 1 through 13. You can find the form N400 by clicking on the link I provided here. Let's take a look at part number 11. So this part is called information about your children, and that's where you are going to tell immigration services about all of your children, including children who are alive, missing, or deceased. Missing means lost, deceased means passed away. Children born in the United States or in other countries. Children under 18 years of age or older. Children who are currently married or unmarried. Children living with you or any place else, elsewhere. Current stepchildren, which means children of your spouse from another marriage or relationship. Legally adopted children, children that you adopted through a process, a paperwork with the court, and children born when you were not married. Please pay attention to the words in green, and I explain these words below the part that I placed here in this lesson. So for this number, for this item, they may ask you how many children do you have, and you will need to give them the number of all of the children. Beginning with number 2, you will need to provide the following information about each child. And it does not matter sons or daughters. It does not matter how old they are. In this form, they give you enough space to provide information about 4 children. But if you have more children, you will need to use a separate sheet of paper. And for each child, you will need to provide their full legal name. And the question here can be, what is your child's full legal name? Or they may say, what is this child's last name? Or what is this child's family name? They may also say, what is this child's given name? Or what is this child's first name? And they may ask about middle name. What is this child's middle name if the child has one? Next one. If these children are in the United States and they are not citizens of the United States, you will need to provide their green card number. You do not need to memorize it, but the officer may ask you, is your child a U.S. citizen? Or is your child a lawful permanent resident? Okay. Or they may say, is your child a U.S. citizen or not? If the child is not a U.S. citizen, they may ask, is your child a green card holder? Or what is your child's immigration status? And you're going to say, he or she is a lawful permanent resident. Then they may ask about the date of birth. So, what is the date of birth of this child? Or when was this child born? The next question can be about the country of birth, and the officer may say, what country was this child born in? Or what is this child's country of birth? And next question will be about the address where the child lives. So they may say, where does he or where does she live? And please remember, when you say the address, say it in full, including street number and name, including the apartment number or suite number, the name of the city, county, if they live in the United States, the name of the state, and the zip code. So please say the address completely so you would not have any additional questions. Now, if the child lives outside of the United States, you can provide the name of the province or region where they live, and you can provide the postal code of that country and the country name. So again, the question here for the address can be, where does this child live? What is the address where the child resides? And the last question for each child can be, what is your child's relationship to you? And this is what you need to know. If your child is a biological child, which is related to you by blood, that is what you are going to write in here, biological child. If it's a stepchild, you will write stepchild. If it is an legally adopted child, that's what you will write in here. So that's the information you will need to provide for each one of your children. Whether the officer is going to ask you about each one of them, it depends on the officer. They can pick any child out of the list of children you provide and ask about that particular child. So they may say, let's talk about Olga or Jose, or let's talk about Faride. And then you know which child they will be asking questions about. So for each one, you will need to remember the full legal name, whether they are U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents, their date of birth, country of birth, their address, and what is the child's relationship to you. Once again, in the N400 form, you can provide information only about 4 children. If you have more, you will have to provide their information on additional piece of paper. The words that I highlighted in green, and I want you to know for this part, I placed below the picture of the part. You do not need to memorize the meanings or definitions of these words, but please definitely get familiar with what's a biological child. What does it mean, a missing child or deceased? Or what does it mean to legally adopt a child? Or what does it mean, a stepchild? So once again, I want you just to know these words, but you do not need to memorize the definitions. The officer will not ask for the explanations or clarifications or meanings or definitions of these words. The next part we are looking at is part number 12, which is additional information about you. So additional means more information about you. And for this part, we are looking from number 1 to number 13 this time. I again want you to pay attention to the words that I highlighted in green. And all of these words I explain on the bottom after we look at the part below the picture of this part of N400. And I also would like you to pay attention to the underlined sentences because these contain some important information. Okay, so once again, part 12 is additional information about you. That is the part where the officers will try to see if you are going to make a good citizen. And they may ask you a lot of questions on this part. Altogether, this part has 50 questions. And some officers, they are very thorough and they go over almost every one of them. We are looking today at numbers 1 through 13 once again. So let's look at this very first sentence. If you answer yes to any of these questions, include a typed or printed explanation or on additional sheets of paper. So in this part, number 12, whichever question you say yes to, you will need to provide an explanation on a separate sheet of paper. Please keep it in mind. Let's look at question number 1. Have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen in writing or any other way? Well, claimed means told or declared. So have you ever told anybody that you are already a U.S. citizen? So because you are not a U.S. citizen, you would need to put no as the answer to this question. Question number 2, have you ever registered to vote in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? So to register to vote, you can only do when you become a U.S. citizen. So the answer to this question, the logical answer should be no. You cannot register because you are not a U.S. citizen. Next question, number 3. Have you ever voted in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? You can only vote when you become a citizen. And if you are not a citizen, you cannot do that. So the answer should be no. Question number 4. Do you now have, or did you ever have, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country? So, in order for you to answer this question correctly, you need to know what is hereditary title, what is an order of nobility. And I explained to you on the bottom of this part, after we look at all of the questions I want you to look for this lesson, what is hereditary title and what is order of nobility? So they are asking if you ever had a title in any other country that goes from parents to children, from generation to generation, and I give you simple examples of order of nobility: king, queen, prince, or princess. So if you ever had these titles, you would have to mark yes. If not, you mark no. Let's look at part B here. If you answered yes, are you willing to give up any inherited titles or orders of nobility that you have in a foreign country at your naturalization ceremony? So whichever title you had in a different country, whichever order of nobility you had, you will have to give up or stop when you become a U.S. citizen. So the answer to B, for those who have those titles or orders of nobility, should be yes for number 4B. Number 5, have you ever been declared legally incompetent or been confined to a mental institution? Remember, you have to tell the truth at your interview. So legally incompetent person is the one who does not understand what is going on around him or her. To be confined to a mental institution means to be placed to a psychiatric facility, and you cannot leave it without doctor's orders. So please answer honestly yes or no. Number 6, do you owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes? Overdue means past due or late taxes. So the question is asking, do you still have to pay money to the federal, state, or local taxes that you did not pay on time? So yes or no here. Number 7, have you ever not filed a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? And you guys know that whether you are a citizen or not, even if when you are a lawful permanent resident, if you have a job, you are supposed to pay taxes. So the question is asking you, have you ever not done your taxes since you became a lawful permanent resident? Has there ever been a time or a year when you did not file your taxes? Well, for people who always file them, you should put no. There was never a time when you didn't file. But for people who for some reason did not file them at some point, you should put yes. But remember, you will need to explain why you have not done that. So for B part, if you answered yes, Did you consider yourself to be a non-US resident? So if you said, yes, I did not file the taxes, did you think that you can do it because you consider or think that you are not a US resident? Now, people do that to avoid paying taxes, but we all know that we have to pay taxes every year. Now, if you are a lawful permanent resident, why would you think that you are non-US resident? That's actually doesn't make any sense, right? So if you said, yes, you didn't pay taxes at some point, was it because you considered yourself not to be a lawful permanent resident? I hope that this makes it clear for you what to say here, yes or no. Number 8, have you ever called yourself a non-US resident on a federal, state, or local tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident? So the problem here is you have a green card and you are a lawful permanent resident, but you call yourself a non-US resident on a tax return because you don't want to pay taxes. So that's not a good decision. It's not a good situation. If you are a lawful permanent resident, why would you say that you are not a US resident, right? So please pick yes or no, but a common answer should be no. You never considered yourself, you never called yourself a non-US resident on any tax return since you became a lawful permanent resident. Question number 9, have you ever been a member of, involved in, or in any way associated with any organization, association, fund, foundation, party, club, society, or similar group in the United States or in any other location in the world? So to answer this question, you need to think of all of your life. Have you ever been a member of any organization here in the United States or in any other country in the world? So yes or no. Now, B part, if you answered yes, provide the information below. So if you said, yes, I was a member of some organization or a party, you would have to explain what group, organization, party, or association were you a member of in here in part B. And you will need to provide the name of the group, the purpose of the group, and the dates of membership. When were you a member of this group? This goes to people who are members of churches. So if you are members of churches here in the United States, provide the name of your church. Purpose would be worship, right? So you are in this group to worship God, and provide the dates of membership. When did you become a member? And if you are still a member, then you can write under 2, you can write the word present. If you were a member of a church in a different country, you will need to provide the information in this table. Now, in my case, I answered yes to number 9A, yes, because I am a member of California Teachers Association. And I put this name here, name of the group, California Teachers Association. Purpose of the group is to protect teachers' rights. And I put the dates when I became a member of that association. And because I'm still a member, I put present under 2. I hope you get the idea. If you have any questions, you may ask me via phone or text message or an email that I provide later. Okay, let's look at number 10. Have you ever been a member of or in any way associated or connected with or to the Communist Party, any other totalitarian party, a terrorist organization? So to answer these questions, you need to know what's the Communist Party, totalitarian party, and a terrorist organization. And I provide the meanings of these below. So you're going to say yes or no here. Number 11, have you ever advocated, either directly or indirectly, the overthrow of any government by force or violence? So have you ever supported the change of any government or replacement of any government by force or violence? Yes or no? Number 12, have you ever persecuted any person because of race, religion, national origin, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion? So the question is asking, have you ever harassed any person because they are of a different race, they have a different religion, they are from a different country, and so on? Yes or no? Question number 13 applies to people who were born or lived before World War II or during. So let's look at the question. Between March 23rd, 1933 and May 8th, 1945. So you can understand that this applies to people who actually were born before or lived during this time. Did you work for or associate or connect in any way, either directly or indirectly, with the Nazi government of Germany? Yes or no? Any government in any area occupied by, allied with, or established with the help of the Nazi government of Germany. C. Any German Nazi or SS military unit, paramilitary unit, self-defense unit, vigilante unit, citizen unit. And you will have to look at the meanings of these green phrases that I provided below the picture of this part in order to understand it correctly. But again, question number 13 applies only to people who were born before this date, March 23rd, 1933, or May 8th, 1945, or who lived before or during this period of time. So please look at the explanations of the green words, green phrases. It's a lot of them I provided in here. If you have any questions about this lesson or anything else pertaining to citizenship, please do not hesitate to call me or text me or email me. And thank you so much for watching this lesson. Luba Gentry was with you. I hope to see you at my next lesson.